Other thing is, I really want people to understand this part. To death did us part. Please understand that. Please do. Because some narratives will not include that in that situation, and I thank God that He gave us that. And like with me and my son, I'm doing everything I can to make sure he's good. See, we have a whole nother village, you know what I mean, that was always there for us. Whole nother village. And that village came and embraced us and helped us on many levels. When we found out about Traci having cancer December the 15th, 2020 at Georgetown Hospital, we had went through some stuff. Prior to that, we was in California, as they brought up. We was out there taping. Traci talked about she couldn't swallow. I immediately called the doctor. Thank God our doctor was always there for us. Thank you, Dr. C. And we set it up. I got back first, she got back, and we was in there, and they took care of us. And, worked it from there. I mean, I think I was in the rain at Fort Washington Hospital with Tony for about an hour while they did the procedure, because at that time, everybody couldn't come into the hospital. So I sat out in the car and pouring down rain, wait for that. And the doctor called me, and I was able to pull up to the front and go inside. And he explained everything to me, and then we went to Georgetown Hospital. And from there,
If you thought the Braxton family drama was wild, just wait. It's about to get a whole lot crazier. Every time we think it can't get any messier, something new happens that leaves us shook. This time, it's all about Traci's husband and her son. Word on the street is they're having major problems, and it's not looking good. To make things worse, there are rumors that Kevin Jr. might have stolen from his dad. Things are definitely heating up. Girl, things got so messy, it even led to them throwing hands. There's so much going on, so let's spill this tea. Ever since Traci Braxton's passing, things have been all over the place, but fans really started noticing cracks in the family when we found out about her will. To everyone's surprise, Traci left her son, Kevin Jr., in charge of handling her estate. That decision caught us off guard because we all thought one of her sisters would be given that responsibility, especially with how tight the Braxton family is. But no, Traci picked her son, and ever since then, it's raised a lot of questions.
Just tell me what to do all the time.
That's not what I be trying to do.
You tell me what to do all the time.
I don't try to tell you what to do.
You tell me to do all the time.
You drinking too much.
I like my breakfast beer. You never spend any time with me. You always gone. You always want to hang around with the fellas all the time. You keep spending money that you're not even supposed to be spending. You never ask me, Traci, let's go and let's think about buying something, but you just go ahead and you just take it upon yourself. Okay, I'm gonna spend this money, I guess, because this is what I want. You never discuss it with me.
In her will, she wrote that she wanted her personal representative to take care of all the costs related to her last illness and funeral expenses. She made it clear that she didn't want any memorial services or last rites from her sorority, Zeta Beta Sorority Incorporated, or the Eastern Stars. She explained that it wasn't a reflection of her feelings for those organizations, but that she just wanted everything to move along quickly. Traci also made sure to leave clear instructions for after her passing, saying she wanted to be cremated with the least amount of suffering for her loved ones. She directed that her remains be given to her son, Kevin Sherratt Jr., and her husband, Kevin Sherratt Sr., but it didn't stop there. Traci also specified that all things related to her brand, image, name rights, and likeness were to be managed by Clifton Jones. However, Clifton would only be relieved of this role once Kevin Sherratt Jr. was deemed ready to take full control of her brand. It didn't take long for fans to start speculating that Traci left everything to her son because she didn't trust her husband. The rumors gained more traction when Kevin went live, subtly hinting that there was tension between him and his sisters-in-law. He also made a point to say, "To death do us part, please understand that." He emphasized this because he felt some narratives were leaving that part out, and he wanted people to know where he stood. It was clear that there was more going on beneath the surface than anyone realized. She couldn't swallow, so I immediately called the doctor. Thank God our doctor was always there for us. Shout out to Dr. C. I remember feeling such a wave of anxiety, trying to think clearly and act fast. My mind raced as I tried to make sure she was okay. Dr. C had always been more than just a professional. He was a friend who had been with us through thick and thin. That trust made all the difference in moments like these. We set everything up, and by the time I got back, she was already there in the hospital and they took care of us. I wasn't worried about the procedures at that point, just about keeping it together for us. They worked quickly from there, taking the necessary steps to get her the care she needed. But I'll never forget that moment I spent outside the hospital, sitting in the car with Tony in the pouring rain, trying to stay calm. It felt like time stood still in that hour. The rain seemed to match the heaviness in my heart, as if the world knew how much we were going through. Back then, no one could just walk into the hospital, especially during the critical moments when things were uncertain. So, I sat there, waiting, just hoping that she would make it through this. The wait felt endless, but somehow, we both knew this was just another test we had to get through, and we'd fight together. Eventually, the doctor called me, and I was able to pull up to the...
Take you to the courthouse to probate your mother's will.
There's still some issues between, I guess, how my father feels and how I feel.
Tell me a little bit about
the front and go inside. He was calm but serious as he explained everything that had been done, and then we made our way to Georgetown Hospital. But it wasn't an easy decision to make. Traci didn't want to call anyone, didn't want to involve the family yet. She was always that way, trying to shield others from the emotional chaos she felt. But I knew the family had to be informed, and so, with a heavy heart, I made the calls. It was strange, though. As things started to unfold, we quickly realized that the Braxton sisters weren't exactly fond of Kevin when Traci was alive. The dynamic was different than what most people thought, and it was far more complicated than what appeared on the surface. Their relationship with me was strained, to say the least, and Traci's situation had only made it worse. What seemed like a perfect family to the outside world was far from it. Over the years, there had been disagreements, big ones, and as we found out later, those issues were way more serious than anyone realized. Traci had always worked so hard to keep everything together, trying to balance the love she had for her family with the reality of the strain that came with being in the public eye. Her marriage to me, from the outside, looked like a strong and solid partnership, but there were cracks no one could see. Behind closed doors, the tension was palpable. It wasn't that we didn't care for each other. It was just that things had gotten complicated, and not all marriages are as easy as they seem. The public didn't know the long nights we spent talking, trying to figure out how to make things work despite all the outside pressures. Things really started to unravel after her passing, when the will came into play. Traci had always been very private about certain matters, but when the will was read, it became clear that the situation between us wasn't as straightforward as it seemed. The legalities of it all, the inheritance, and her decisions regarding her estate were more than just a matter of money. They were a reflection of everything that had been left unsaid during our marriage. It wasn't just about dividing assets. It was about Traci's final statement on how she wanted things to unfold after she was gone. She made the decision to leave everything, including the role of executor, to Kevin Jr., our son. That was a shock to everyone, but it was also telling. It made me realize just how little Traci had trusted me with certain things, and perhaps how deeply the wounds of our marriage went. To be perfectly honest, I can't blame her for making that decision. She saw something in me that I couldn't see at the time, and the truth was, I had let her down in many ways, even if I hadn't fully understood it back then. As I sat there reading her will, I couldn't help but reflect on everything. Our relationship, the years we spent together, the challenges, the joys, the betrayals, and the trust that we once shared. Traci had always been a fighter, even when she was the one who will. There's still some issues between, I guess, how my father feels and how I feel. You can tell the strain is real, and it's only getting worse. Traci clearly believed someone might try to challenge her will, but she knew exactly what she was doing. The way she made sure her will couldn't be disputed really showed just how little she trusted Kevin Sr. by leaving everything, every last penny and the rights to her name and image, to Kevin Jr. She was sending a pretty clear message about how she felt about her husband in the end. And as we've seen, Kevin Sr. didn't take too kindly to that. It's becoming obvious now that Traci wasn't just protecting her estate, she was protecting herself from him. Traci wasn't just protecting her estate, she was putting a buffer between Kevin Sr. and the things that mattered most to her. The situation between the two men escalated to the point where things got downright physical. In one shocking incident, Kevin Sr. was caught on a Ring doorbell camera attacking his own son. To make things even more dramatic, he was heard accusing Kevin Jr. of being responsible for Traci's cancer. It's beyond messed up that things got so heated, and it really shows just how deep the rift between them has grown. The tension is clearly at an all-time high. Tension over the inheritance and Traci's final wishes has clearly turned into something much uglier than anyone could have anticipated. And his own son over money, and fans left comments saying that video of Kevin saw Kevin Jr. and telling his son he caused Traci Braxton's cancer? That man is evil. And like I said before, Traci knew exactly what she was doing by leaving everything to her son, not that awful husband. Traci made the choice to leave everything, including the role of executor, to her son instead of her husband, and even asked to be recorded every time she met with her attorney. That tells me everything I need to know about her marriage. It's so sad, and it's heartbreaking that it's all happening with his son. Traci made the right call by not giving her husband access to her money. I really feel for Kevin Jr. in this situation. But y'all, let me know how you feel about all this, and then check out the next video.